Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday morning and there's so much going on at Man United that it's really difficult to even do one single show about what's going on. The leaks coming out, the information coming out from the press, Ten Hag and his press conferences, Anthony now making a statement backing up Ten Hag. There's so much we've got to talk about in today's show, so stick around. Make sure you hit the like button on this video, and if you're not a subscriber already to our amazing channel which gives you all the latest news on Man United and opinions, you should hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with everything. Okay, so let's kick off today's show with this absolute chaos that's going on at Man United, with Ten Hag taking on the media now fighting back, writing all these crazy stories about how Ten Hag is fighting for survival, how the board is looking to sack Ten Hag, and how Ten Hag has lost the dressing room. How much of this do we actually believe, and how much of this is absolute made up garbage by the press? That is what we need to look at very carefully and consider. Right now, what it feels like is that we are at war. We as Man United are at war against this media machine, against everybody around us. We are under attack from the establishment of the media circus. That's what it is. This media circus is out to get Ten Hag, and they will take everyone else with them. And from what we can see and what we've heard, it looks like Ten Hag is fighting all alone. The board isn't really backing him. The board are not taking on the media. It is down to Ten Hag and Ten Hag alone to take on this media machine that are out to get him. They've been waiting a long time to do this. They've been putting out negative news stories as and when it's possible for them, and it looks like they really do want to push this movement on Ten Hag, and they want to create some news. They want to create all this mayhem around United, and that's what sells newspapers for them. That's what sells and gets the clicks for people. It's all about getting huge stories out of United, and the biggest story would be if Ten Hag gets a sack, and then it starts a whole new cycle again, and all this media machine goes back into complete and utter meltdown about who is the new manager, who's going to come in. And you've got weeks and weeks of speculation, and the media and the press love that kind of news. That's their end goal. The end goal is to get as much traction as possible, and unfortunately Ten Hag is their key number one target. We heard yesterday that 4 news agencies, including The Sun and Sky Sports, were banned from Erik Ten Hag's press conferences. Now, the reason why they were banned is because they were putting out stories without confirming them with United. They were putting out these crazy stories about player unrest and other issues at United without actually confirming if they were true or not, and without giving a right of reply to Man United and Erik Ten Hag. Now, normally what happens is, before a story goes out in the press, and if it's quite controversial, what they normally do is they actually ask for comment by Ten Hag or Man United to look at this story and then give their right of reply. They've not been doing that, and United are well within their rights to complain about this and also ban them from the press conferences. This isn't new. We had it under Fergie as well. Fergie would quite casually ban media outlets from attending. Remember, he actually stopped speaking to the BBC for quite some time for something that they did about his son, reported something about his son which he was not happy with, and he stopped speaking to them. Even though he was really pressured by the Premier League to go out there and speak to the BBC, he refused to do so. Now, Ten Hag taking this stance is a good thing. We as a United team, we as a club need to protect ourselves. We need to protect the club, and we need to protect the players, and the only way we're going to do that is by telling the media to back off. And this was great to see. It was great to see that he came out in his press conference and he told it like it was, that there was nothing going on in that dressing room. Now, let's rewind a bit. Is there something going on in that dressing room? Of course there is. Of course there is. There are players in that dressing room, and yes, the reports of 50% of them not being happy, it is true. There are lots of players in that dressing room that do not want to be working under Ten Hag. But we need to assess what the reasons are for why these players are not happy with Ten Hag. Well, the reasons why they're not happy with Ten Hag is because he's making them work hard. He's giving them discipline. He makes sure that they have to come in on time, make sure that they're working hard, make sure they're doing a lot of exercise, getting their fitness levels high, and that might be leading to some people getting injured, some players getting injured, but that is the reality of it. They're not fit enough to play in the Premier League week in, week out. And Ten Hag is trying to achieve something that other managers have without fail achieved and without any blowback achieved. Pep Guardiola. Pep has worked his Man City team hard. The players never have come out and said, look, we're not happy with the way Pep is making us work. Arteta right now at Arsenal, he's making his players work very hard. We've seen Eddie Howe. We saw the game against Newcastle. How much running were the Newcastle players doing compared to United players? How aggressive were they? Even someone who doesn't watch football day in, day out could have looked at that match against Newcastle and told you one team that's working a lot harder and one team that isn't. It was obvious. The players are not working hard enough. Whose fault is that? Ten Hag is trying to push them, make them better players, but these players, we've seen it time and time again. It's not the first time they've done this to a manager. They've done it to Oli, they did it to Mourinho, they've done it to lots and lots of managers, which is as soon as the manager starts telling them to work hard, they go behind their back, start telling these stories to the media, start giving leaks away and start pressuring the manager to kick him out. And then what happens? There's a weak ownership, there's weak leadership above Ten Hag and above these managers, above Solskjaer. And this weak ownership, this weak leadership thinks, right, okay, we've got millions, billions of pounds of investment in these players, and then we've got a manager who isn't worth as much as the entire team or some of the players, so let's get rid of the manager instead. We can't get rid of these players, and that is what player power is right now, and it's been happening at United for a long time. And I've said it to you people on previous shows that the hierarchy of the club right now is completely upside down. The players actually have all the control, and the manager, the one man that has to have overall control and power and authority in the club, hasn't got that power. The players can challenge him. The ownership is weak, so the ownership and the board do not back the manager. They keep going behind the manager and trying to sort things out with the players directly. Doesn't happen. And then you've got these superstar players like Rashford, like Sancho, like Maguire, all of these players, every single one of them, they are very quick at throwing their dummy out of the pram and then cry about something that they're not happy with. The modern day footballer, they have got such a huge chip on their shoulder that they don't care about this manager that walks in, because they feel like they're going to outlive this manager. They're going to outlive most managers. Managers come and go, the players stay, they stay on the salary, they don't get a cut of salary. Now, we've heard from many sources in United that Sancho would always turn up late for training. Always, despite being fined, despite being told off, he would still turn up late for training. What kind of discipline is that? What person would turn up late to a job when he's getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds per week? That is absolutely insane, isn't it? Can you imagine? I mean, most people who are getting paid, if I was getting paid £100,000 a week, I'd bloody sleep in the training ground. I'd wake up. I literally would. I would ask for a room there and I would stay there if that meant getting paid that much money. But these players, these footballers have just got used to lives that we would only dream of, and they don't care. They don't really care about football anymore. They're not hungry, and once you lose that hunger, you're not going to really try hard enough, are you? And we've seen that again with Rashford now. I mean, look, I've stayed away from criticising directly single footballers, but it comes to time. There does come a time where you start thinking, right, okay, look, now he's taking the Michael. We need to call it out like it is. Rashford needs to improve, needs to work harder, and needs to show some commitment. Another player that recently has not been doing well is Rashford, and you could see it in his demeanour. The way he's carrying himself around on the pitch is absolutely awful. I mean, it's so frustrating watching him, because you know he's got the talent, you know he's got the skill to be a top footballer, but within 10 minutes of starting the game, he just starts sulking and just looks unhappy. And what is he being paid to do? It's absolutely ridiculous to watch this player who's on a huge 300,000 plus contract per week sulking within the first 10 minutes of the game and just not tracking back. He is not good enough to play in that United team right now, but he's one of our highest earners. What does that tell the rest of the players in that dressing room? That there's a guy who's got a £300,000 contract at United sat there not working hard enough. And why would they then want to work hard? It trickles down. He's one of the senior members of that team right now. He's not young anymore. He's not a kid anymore. He is in the prime of his footballing career and he's not giving it his all. It's an absolute shame, and I really do hope that he does turn things around, but it does look like that the players are now waiting on Ten Hag to get the boot. That's what they're hoping. They're hoping that Ten Hag gets kicked out and they get to start all over again, and they go through this cycle once again where a new manager comes in and they kind of support him, do a bit of running and hope that they get it easy, an easy life. And that's what I feel that all these players at United are trying to do. I really do feel that he needs to clear out all these bloody players. All these players that were there under Solskjaer, under Mourinho, they're not good. They're not good, and they've got into bad habits. We've seen that the first thing that these players want to do when things are not going right, the losing games, is to get rid of the manager. They start pointing fingers at the manager, when really it's them that are not working hard enough. It's them that are not scoring the goals and winning games. The manager can only do so much. He is not going on the pitch playing the games, and that is the crucial thing. I mean, we as Man United fans have seen this too many times, and look, I'm not blindly backing Ten Hag. There are things that Ten Hag himself has to reflect on. There's things that he needs to improve on, absolutely. There's no one beyond criticism. Absolutely, we need to call it out when we see it. But right now, this is all about players. Players in that dressing room who are leaking information to the press and telling them that they're not happy with Ten Hag and hoping that Ten Hag gets the sack. That is wrong on so many levels, and we as United fans need to back our manager right now. We cannot let this happen once again. We've seen it too many times. We've seen it, and it's happened again and again, where the players throw their dummies out and want the manager gone. We need to put a stop to this. We need to tell them players to shut the hell up and leave the club. If they're not happy with what's going on at United, they need to pack their bags and tell their agents to get them another club. That is it. They're happy to take our money. They're happy to take the club's money and be paid, but they're not happy to put in a shift. And we need hungry players, players that are willing to work hard for the club. Forget the owners, forget the manager, for the club. You know our thoughts on the Glazers, these leeches that have been at the club for 18 years. That's not going to change anytime soon. We have to accept that. We've tried. Over this year, we've really hoped and wished that the Glazers will sell up and leave the club, 100% sale, and hopefully someone else will come in and buy the club. And we've had Ratcliffe and Yassim come in, make 100% offers to buy the club, and that's not happened. And the Glazers seem set to stay on longer at this club, and we need to continue putting pressure on the Glazers and get them out. But we also need to accept that the players cannot carry on doing what they are doing. Without the players playing well and working hard, we're never going to get any success on the football pitch. There's only so much we can blame the Glazers. Yes, we blame the Glazers for having bad leadership and not investing properly, but yes, and it does trickle down. I'm not going to lie, I do feel that the reason why these players are taking advantage of the situation and of the manager and keep on getting their managers sacked is because they know that the owners are weak. They know that the owners have no clue about football. They know that the owners are under pressure constantly by the fans, so the owners will do what it takes to appease the players and the club itself, because they know if they lose the players and they've already lost the fans, then it'll be an end of the road for them, and that's what they're trying to do. So what they're trying to do is appease the players, appease the people at the club. Okay, they've lost their fans, they know they're not going to get them back, but they keep the players happy, and the players do not speak out against the Glazers. One time we saw that happen was, of course, under Cristiano Ronaldo, where he came out and gave it like it was, lifted the lid on the Glazers, and that obviously led to the Glazers looking at these strategic opportunities and almost selling the club. So yeah, that would have been good if most players came out and actually spoke up against the Glazers, but they're not going to do that because they know that the Glazers are giving them the excuse of playing crap every week and the excuse of getting rid of the manager. And that is not good enough. We need to back Ten Hag. We need to support him. Whatever he's saying isn't bad. Who would disagree with Ten Hag disciplining the players? Who would disagree with Ten Hag's philosophy of making sure that the players give it their all and run on that pitch? That is what we want to hear. That's what we want. We want a manager to cut the crap out. We want a manager to make the players work hard. These players are superstars, millionaires, and they're not got that hunger in them to work hard, and we need a manager to snap that out of them and make them work hard all week and make them play the best football they can play on the weekend. Drop your comments below. What do you think about this situation? What do you think about Ten Hag? What do you think about these players in the dressing room? Who do you side with? Do you side with Ten Hag? Do you side with the players? You are watching the Man United Stream channel, a channel by the fans for the fans.